If we had a scoreboard for the most busted online viable shortcut in Mario Kart Wii, I'm sure everyone will think of one very specific strat that basically ruined the course it's done on. And unless you're one of those weirdos who thinks it's the DS Double or the DDR Ultra, you know that I'm talking about the GBA Bowser's Castle shortcut. Shortcut? Any number of strats that involve jumping from the floating islands over to after the U-turn bend. We'll be breaking them up into 4 different shortcuts: Shroom, Shroomless, Ultra, and Shroom Ultra. We'll be using a lot of marker guides on the road to help with alignment, so just a side note, don't practice these methods in a local multiplayer setting, as the camera is lower to the ground making certain things impossible to see. First up, the standard method with a shroom. Go to the final island and look for the second line from the right on the second row. You'll want to be in the center of this line, aim for the center to center right of the block, then shroom. There's a lot of leeway on this method, so as long as you aim in the general direction, you should make it. However, if you're kind of flipping up and not getting any distance, then you might be too far forward in front of the line, as the angle is too short for the ramp to level you out. And if you're hitting the block, well, logic shows you're aiming too far to the left. This is why I said you want to aim a little bit off center to the right, as the brick hitbox is a little bigger than you might think. Now if you ever play online, you'll know that once you get into a decent level room, people will start to trap the cut. Which, side note, you should practice that so you could trap as well. Or, if the cut isn't blocked, then racers will be bumping you around trying to go for the shortcut themselves. This is why, even though it's a pretty easy shortcut to do in a time trial, it's not only important to be able to do it consistently, but you need to be able to do it, here's the keyword, fast. You need to be able to do this shortcut really fast, as the less time you spend on the pack, the less chance people will bump or troll you. The second method, also known as the Shroomless method, is done by aligning for the second line on the third row, so a little farther out. Then charge a standstill mini turbo and use the edge of Funky Kong's head to align with the right edge of the block. SSMT. Then once airborne, you probably want to hold left so you don't run into the wall on the other side. If you play Daisy Mach, then you could align to the center of the block due to the smaller hitbox. This tends to give a lot more air, which makes the shortcut a little safer. But all in all, if you plan to play a lot of online, this shortcut isn't worth doing much. Because if you trap the Shroom method, you end up trapping the Shroomless method too. And charging an SSMT takes a whole lot more time than just boosting yourself off with the Shroom. I'm mainly putting this in the video just to show that it is indeed doable, but it's not very useful at a higher level of play. Now, if you want to do the shortcut Shroomless, a much better option is to do the Ultra. Go to the second to last island, line up using this line on the third row and this line on the fifth row. Then, with the Flame Runner, you'll want to aim between these 2 markers, the left line on this block and the peak of the ramp. Once you release the mini turbo, you'll want to tap right before you go off the ramp, then hold back and in some cases left to clear the jump. If you play Mach, then it's a little simpler, just use the single line on the 5th row, pass it onto the 4th row, then charge an SSMT. You'll just aim at the peak of the ramp and release the mini turbo. The fourth method I want to bring up is the Shroom Ultra method. I don't know how the concept got started, but the Shroom Ultra method is said to be harder than the normal method, and that's just not true. You'll line using the line on the 2nd row and back out to the 4th row, and aim for the peak of the ramp, then tap right and once airborne tap left. The inputs may sound scary, but once you put in a little bit of practice, the Shroom Ultra shortcut is actually not that hard to do. By the way, in case you guys are wondering, yes, this is the method the current BKT uses. Only difference is he doesn't no stop. Okay, the final method we're covering are for karts. In particular, the Ultra with a kart, as the Shroomless normal method is the same no matter what vehicle. And karts, as far as I'm aware, can't do Shroomless unless it's the Blue Falcon. But feel free to prove me wrong about this one. Due to every kart having a slightly different hitbox size, you have to go with a more general rule of thumb, which would be align more to the left and aim farther to the right. For instance, with the Wild Wing, I put the right side of the kart to where a bike would normally be, and aim a little farther to the right than I would with the Mach. Lastly, I want to mention a few random topics that I couldn't really fit anywhere else. First being, sometimes, especially with the Shroom method, you could clip the wall and hop back up to save yourself. It doesn't happen very often, but due to the weird collision of the outer wall, you could sometimes get stuck on it for a split second. Then using the momentum from the boost, hop and it'll push you over. The second thing I want to mention is the Spindrift method. And even though it's called that, I don't consider this an actual method because it's just the normal method with no stop. The normal method alignment is too short for a normal drift to be able to take. so people throw in a Spindrift instead, and it'll give you a healthy alignment to just shroom and go. Also, probably should mention this is primarily a mock thing. Finally, mirror. Practice, practice, practice. Seriously, practice every shortcut on mirror, especially the alignment-based ones, as our hands and brains can't mirror inputs perfectly. This not only goes for this GBA Bowser's Castle 3 video, but also all the other shortcuts on the channel. Always remember, you can never have too much practice. Hey, Arc speaking, and thanks for watching. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to drop them down below, or if you want to talk, over on Twitch every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday morning. Like if you liked it, and sub if you want to see more from me. That's about it. Good luck, and happy racing.